Well, hi there. In this particular video, we're going to talk about emotional well-being. And when you think about it, at Take Charge of Change, we're about resiliency training. And a very important part of resiliency is our emotional well-being, or the emotions that we bring to the important tasks or missions or objectives that we have in front of us. Now, depending on how you look at the world, your lens, your paradigm, however you want to describe it, that can have a really big impact on your emotional health, your emotional well-being. And I'm going to talk about a concept that I think for some of you will be very helpful to improve your emotional state of mind as you're trying to accomplish various objectives in your life. And this is extremely important because when you look at peak performance sports, which I think are very instructive, I think sports has some great information and tools that can help organizational athletes. You and I who are in the business world or work life or organizations, teachers, I mean, every day we're having to get things done and accomplished, and the emotional piece is a very, very important component. The concept I'm going to talk about is referred to as the law of the gap. The law of the gap was a concept developed by Dan Sullivan with a strategic coach. And I'm going to walk you through kind of a big picture overview on what the gap's about, and then some very specific points you want to keep in mind when you look at some of the important goals that you have in front of you right now. So the analogy I'm going to use is that when you and I look into the future, so we're looking in the future, it's almost like the horizon. When we look at the horizon and we start traveling towards the horizon, you never get to it. It's always going to be in front of you. And our missions or goals or visions for the future are just like that. We'll use our vision for the future to help us set goals and objectives and priorities for our day-to-day or quarter or for year. But as we move in the direction of those visions, we're never going to get to them. That's the ideal. And so the actual is going to vary from that because we can't control the outcomes completely in our life. We can control activities, but we get surprised with events or circumstances or people, or things don't quite work out the way we hoped they would. And so if your view of the world is that you're going to assess your success in life by how close you are to that vision, you might be perennially disappointed or dissatisfied because you're never going to hit it. It's like the horizon. So the law of the gap was developed to help people reframe how they look at success. Now, some of you naturally look at the actual. You'll use the ideal, the horizon, to help you set goals. But you will look at the actual, the past, to assess what your performance has been. So that even if you don't accomplish that ideal or that goal, you still feel good about your progress because you realize it's not about perfection. It's not about accomplishing that ideal, that vision. It's about progress. And if you're always caught up on the perfection wheel, you'll find it very difficult to get started with things. Everything has to be lined up. You don't get a lot accomplished sometimes. Or when you are trying to accomplish things, you're always frustrated because you're not hitting the ideal. So that's the one point that I want to make, is we want to focus on progress, not on perfection. Use the ideal, that horizon, as a way of setting goals and helping you to be focused every day as you try to work towards that vision or those missions in your life. So the law of the gap, let's look at the main points that we can draw from that analogy. So we set goals by the vision or the ideal. So as we look into the future, if we look at that horizon, it plays a very critical role. It helps us set our agenda for what we need to be doing. And as we look at those missions and goals, the horizon, we can then begin outlining the specific tasks that we need to be attentive to. Secondly, there's two ways to actually measure progress, and I've talked about this. We can use the ideal or the actual. And my encouragement to you is to reset your thinking. If you're not using the actual, if you tend to look at the ideal all the time, be very conscious of that and start using the actual. We can be dissatisfied with our circumstances, frustrated at times, and one of the ways you get around that is spend a few minutes and look at, okay, I didn't accomplish the ideal, but what have I accomplished? Even take the time to write down a list. What did you do through the day? We have a concept we use around protecting confidence, and one of the things I encourage people to do is at the end of every day, write down 3 or 4 or 5 things that went well, that you felt you accomplished. Because we naturally think about the things we didn't get to, or we didn't get done, or the frustrations. And we need to rewire ourselves to focus on what we actually got done and what we were satisfied with. Do that for your day, or for your quarter, for the month, for the year. What did you get done? and you'll get a bit of a boost in terms of emotional confidence and just feel better about your progress. Use the ideal to create goals and focus. That really is what the ideal is for, is to help you create that list of to-dos to accomplish your goals or missions. And finally, use the actual to create a sense of accomplishment and positive momentum. At the end of your day, focus on what you actually got done. Focus on the progress you made. Use perfection or the horizon to reset your goals and priorities for the next day as you approach it. I hope you found the presentation helpful. Our website's got a lot of little resources, some video content, some downloadable PDF documents you might find helpful. So please feel free to snoop around our website. If you'd like to talk further about our training programs, how we can help your organization so your people will be emotionally, cognitively, physically, financially resilient, we'd be happy to talk to you about our programs. And of course, our website's www.takechargeofchange.com, or you can email us at info@takechargeofchange.com. You take care.